as I've made clear, I absolutely hate making these sort of videos, and this one particularly kept me awake at night. You know, who am I to be criticising Tynwald, and they've got so many problems and so on. They've got enough on their plate without me going on about it. But then I've felt that if I didn't say this, nobody else seems to be saying it. Lots of people think what I've been saying, and the response in the street of people coming up to me saying, I so agree with what you've said. I just felt I should perhaps voice those views. It is, of course, just my opinion.
Could be argued, couldn't it, that Tynwald is an easy target for this? I mean, surely it doesn't fall just into their responsibility. This is the Isle of Man. This is a community problem, surely.
You're absolutely right. Criticising the government is so easy. You get this in the UK. Every interview is the government should do this, the government should do that. And frankly, I don't know how they get up in the morning because they've got all these problems. But the ones that I've highlighted have been hanging around for years. I mean, literally years. And having done the video last year and members emailing me saying, yes, I so agree with you, nothing has been done. I'm particularly concerned about these developers who start a development. We've got one at the bottom of the road here next to the Trafalgar. They leave a huge mess. They clear off and you never see them again. Now, are the government doing anything about this? Why shouldn't a developer like that, who's going to spend millions of pounds, be required to deposit a bond of £100,000 with the government, fully repayable with the interest if the project is completed? If it's not, the government at least have some money to restore that site and put it back in a decent state till the next developer comes along and says he'll have a go. And does anyone check whether these developers actually have the money to do these? Because we've got the one in Duke Street. Who's ever going to sort that out? And those are simple things that I would have hoped some members would have brought a resolution forward to at least debate it and maybe get some legislation changed. But nothing's happened.
We're in a difficult position, though, it could be argued, Charles, aren't we? Insofar as we've had the pandemic, we know what the global economic situation is like. How different, realistically, are the problems that the Isle of Man is facing that you're highlighting compared to elsewhere?
They're not any different, absolutely. In fact, we're probably a lot better off over here. But how difficult is it to put legislation in that protects our built heritage, for example? I've been going on about this for at least 40 years. I've petitioned Tynwald and so have lots of other people, and still nothing has happened. And that's nothing to do with the pandemic. It's nothing to do with the world situation. It's about using your own parliament. We are so lucky to have our own parliament to sort these basic problems out. But talking about that, when I get onto the horse tram section, it's not really about the horse trams to me now. It's about whether the will of Tynwald has any meaning at all. I've got an email here from the former Chief Minister in 2020 during the pandemic, assuring me that it was his wish and the minister's wish to get the horse trams back to the sea terminal. You then look at the various Hansard votes, sometimes unanimous votes saying, yes, we want the horse trams back. Ministers saying, you've got to believe what we say. We will abide by the will of Tynwald. And that's great, but it's meaningless. Now, who in Tynwald has stood up and said, hang on, we have voted for this. Why haven't you done it? No one says a word. So what is the point of these Tynwald debates? What is the point of the questions? If a minister or a civil servant doesn't want something to happen, it doesn't happen.
I have to ask you then, Charles, as you say, you've been highlighting issues like this for over 40 years. Why have you not, until this point, or maybe you have, considered a career in politics, getting into Tynwald yourself? But it's a serious question, isn't it? Because actually, I think a lot of people think, well, I could do that. I could do much better. But it's so easy to say that on the outside. Why aren't you in there trying to affect this change? Because people see you as this champion now.
Well, it's easy for me to say these things. To be in there and do it is a different matter, I understand. It never occurred to me to be a politician. I started out like you as a broadcaster. I did Mandate and then, at 72, I'm far too old to be thinking about being an MHK. They need young, dynamic people in there. I accept I'm not yet old enough to qualify to be a president of the United States, but I don't think I would be any use in there. There's plenty of people in there who really want to do the job. They stood for election. They said, we want to run the Isle of Man for you. and I'm just hoping they can look at some of these issues and sort them out.
What would be your pressing priority then? If they could do one thing straight away, what would it be?
Tidy the island up.
And go back, I suppose, to the fact that that's not just something that needs to come from Tynwald and come from government. That is a community thing. This is a mindset, isn't it, Charles? I mean, we see people who don't really have, I suppose, much regard for their environment. And we can highlight this in videos all you like, but how do you try and change that mindset?
But look, you did a feature, a news story a while back about fly tipping, and you had a picture of some old mattresses and stuff. That's a prosecutable offence. And I can't see that that's any different from some of the sites I've highlighted. Just because it's a developer and they've left an almighty mess, oh, that's all right. It's not all right. And it is a community thing, but unless government takes a lead, and surely it can't be too difficult to get some regulation or legislation in that you've got to tidy places up. If it comes from them through the local authorities, through the local groups, then so be it. But there's no lead from the top on this.
So you've had a great reaction, as you've been talking about, to this video. It's been viewed thousands of times already. You're being stopped in the street about it. What about the political reaction? What has that been?
Nothing. I've not heard. Well, I don't expect them to be emailing me saying, oh, Charles, we agree with everything, because I'd be emailing back saying, well, that's fine, but what are you going to do about it? No, I don't expect politicians to be emailing me. I don't want them to. I just want them to do something.
And has there been any perceived improvements since the last video just over a year ago, in your opinion?
There's been one or two minor things that have been fixed, but to go back to the railings and the barriers and all these sort of things, I got the minutes of a meeting from the Department of Infrastructure they had last November saying that it was planned that this would happen, that would happen and stuff. None of it has happened. I realise they've got a complex schedule. They've got 1,000 things to do, I know. But as I pointed out, some of those things have been sitting there for years. Whereabouts on any list are these items scheduled to be fixed?
Would you consider doing a video about the good things that are happening? Perhaps would that be the way to go?
Well, all my other videos are about how fabulous the Isle of Man is. I don't think you could, some of them have had over 1 million downloads, the positive ones. So I have done something to promote the island. And these ones are very painful to do because I don't want to have to. But unless somebody comes up and says something and gets the public backing, members will just think there's no problem. We're all so used to looking at these abandoned sites with cars on. We think that's how Douglas is. It reminds me of the shots of London after the Second World War, after the bombing and all the buildings have been cleared and you've got kids playing on abandoned sites. Well, we don't have the kids playing, we've got cars parked on them. But what must be the impression when you get off the boat and you drive around and you see all this? People must wonder what they've come to.
So what would success look like to you with regards to the reaction to this latest video then?
A proper discussion in Tynwald would be a very good place to start.
And if people are listening, perhaps they haven't seen the video yet, they'll be able to see it at manxradio.com. What would you like them to do?
Please contact your MHK. That's what you're there for. If it's just me saying things, people will ignore it. But if people don't say things to their MHKs, the MHKs will think there's no problem.